Welcome to Abilene Christian University's Visit Today with our Psychology Department. I'm Tamara Long, the Vice President for Enrollment here at ACU, and I have to your left Dr. Richard Beck, the Chair of the Psychology Department, and then to your right here, Dr. Sharice Flanagan, who is Associate Professor and also over our Graduate Studies and our Accelerated Program for Psychology. So we are excited to be with you today and to share more about this great department and program. And so first, I'm going to ask Dr. Beck just to share an overview of your majors and how the type of program we deliver for our students.
Yeah, excited to be with you guys online and excited to see you interested in ACU. Psychology is one of the largest majors at ACU, about 200 majors, and that is a national trend. It's just one of the most popular degrees in the nation. You obviously know that because you're interested in it as well. As I like to say to all my students, not everybody majors in psychology, but everybody wishes they could major in psychology. And so we offer at the undergraduate level a Bachelor of Science, an undergraduate degree in psychology, and then our students kind of use that to launch off into a variety of different career paths. Not everybody goes to graduate school, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. A lot of people get that degree, and then they go out into the world of work. And a big question that a lot of families ask, you might have been getting that question from your parents about what do you do with a degree in psychology, and the answer is a lot of things. Psychology is so attractive here at ACU and nationally because it's a really flexible degree that could take you in a variety of different directions. We have a lot of students that seek psychology. They might get a minor in business and they might go directly out into the world of work. So management, sales, marketing, a lot of human resource work. There's a lot of big career opportunities in higher education and university work, obviously working on a campus that you're going to be working face-to-face with students in recruiting, student life, residential life. So a lot of students are working in universities. And then we see students go to law school, to med school, they work in law enforcement, they do all sorts of things with that. So the good news and the bad news about psychology, the good news is you can do a lot of things with it. And so you take out into the world of work a lot of flexibility. But the other piece to that is, though, that there is some career discernment that has to happen. And so we're very aware of that as you go through. That if you're not going to go kind of toward the mental health profession, and I'll let Dr. Flanagan talk more about what that would look like. And I'd say about half our majors are going to be therapists or counselors. But the other half that aren't, there is some career selection. It's not unlike what our students have to do if they're getting a business major, that they got a degree in business and then they have to discern, where in business do they want to go. Our majors have to do a similar kind of discernment. And so we got our career center. We have a class for our seniors that help them get their resumes pulled together and identify kind of careers they want to go out and look at. So the answer is you can do lots of things with an undergraduate degree in psychology. And ACU is a great place to get that because of the close mentoring you have with your faculty. We can walk alongside you as you discern, do I do graduate school? Do I want to be a therapist? Do I want to go out in the world of work? What does that look like? Huge part of what we do here at ACU.
That is very true. So I should have said I am a product of this department. The psychology department was home to me during my time here at ACU, and I'm very grateful for the way that our faculty walk alongside each student and bring the students alongside them in their work and research, and was lucky enough to get to be a student of Dr. Beck's. And so want you to know, students and anyone that's here attending, the ACU's goal is always to help a student achieve their personal professional goals and to really help you seek and lean into vocation. And we are preparing and training you for a lifetime of learning and a lifetime of serving, which I would say many of us that go into this area of interest of psychology, it's about understanding human behavior, motivation, and we care about people. And that is very much at the core heart of this department. So Dr. Flanagan, who oversees the graduate programs and our accelerated program, I know some of you students are very bright and you are considering what would it look like to have an accelerated approach to your undergrad experience, but also you're really already thinking about graduate school. You're thinking about what types of graduate schools can I get into if I do choose my undergrad here at ACU. So Dr. Flanagan, do you mind talking about both ACU's undergrad accelerated program, our graduate programs, but also the graduate programs that I know you've helped many students get into some pretty amazing graduate programs.
Thank you. Welcome. I'm so happy that you're here with us today, and excited to talk to you about our department, which is something that I really deeply love. the faculty that we have. And I wanted to start off by talking a little bit about careers in mental health that Dr. Beck mentioned. Many of our students do go on to want to be counselors. You have a desire to be helpful to others, to be in a field where you can really make a difference in individual people's lives. And so a lot of our curriculum, some of what's woven through our undergraduate degree is helping skills and how you really can go about doing that, and also preparing you for the future work that you may have, seeking out a master's degree, a PhD, a PsyD. There's so many different avenues. It can get a little bit confusing, all of the different opportunities. And so in our program, we have 4 graduate programs. And one of them is primarily geared towards research. It's a general psychology program. And then we have a clinical psychology program, and that one is something that prepares people for clinical work. So actually doing the counseling, they go through practicum, and they can get licensed with that, but also to go on to higher, like PhD kind of work. So we have a fair amount of people interested in that track, but by far most popular is our counseling psychology master's degree. And so that's what a lot of people come into psychology major thinking, I want to be a therapist. I want to have a private practice. I want to work in an agency. I want to do nonprofit work. Maybe you want to work with severe psychopathology. That's actually my specialty at this point, is working with people with severe psychopathology like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, that kind of thing. So my private practice is more geared towards clinical work. But many people want to be a counselor, like a counseling psychologist or an LPC, which stands for Licensed Professional Counselor. And that's the degree that you need to get a license so that you can hang your shingle out, you can have your own private practice, and you can do counseling for people, whether it's depression or anxiety or marital problems, adolescents with problems, that kind of thing is what most of our Masters of Counseling people want to go on to do. And so I would say a lot of the mentoring and the coursework that you do throughout your psychology degree prepares you for those things, understanding developmental issues, understanding social groups and how they interact, family systems, and then getting into, as you are a senior or as you're kind of finishing your bachelor's, an introduction to counseling where you get to really practice those counseling skills. We call them micro skills, and so our small classes are really good for that because we have labs with I want to say around 15 to 20 people in those labs, and so there's a lot of individual work that goes on in that arena, and I think that really helps people make decisions too about, is this what I really want to do? So our faculty are so broad in our own expertise that you get exposed to a lot of different people. We have several faculty who really specialize in working with children. Dr. Perkins is, I call him our child whisperer. He also has like a small farm with llamas and goats and many other animals that may or may not come to the classroom, or you may or may not visit him at his house. But he's so good with children. And then we have our school psychologists who really work within the system, the school system. And that was the 4th program I did not mention, was our school psychology program. It's a NASP accredited program in school psychology. And so we have several faculty who specialize in that. And we also, like, one of our kind of unusual faculty expertise that we actually have a psychiatrist on our faculty, which is just really a treat, I think, to get to have someone who really specializes in psychiatry as well. So all of that to say, we've got counseling psychologists, we've got people who worked at the master's level. I myself worked at the master's level for 10 years before I went on to get my doctorate and get licensed as a psychologist. And so we really like to mentor students in whatever their goals are. And I would say, I think that's kind of a special thing about our smaller classes and our commitment to you is to really help you figure out what is next.
That is great. As you probably are hearing from Dr. Flanagan, taking students out of the classroom is very much core to teaching here at ACU. We are an undergraduate-focused university, undergraduate-focused in our teaching, and we have excellent graduate programs, as Dr. Flanagan mentioned. But something that has put ACU on the map in many regards has been our commitment to undergraduate research, taking our students alongside faculty to learn in the lab environments and research environments. And there's lots of ways we conduct experiential learning, but research for me was one of the attractants to ACU, was that ability to learn about research directly from the faculty I was learning from in the classroom. So Dr. Beck, do you mind talking a little bit to us about what undergraduate research looks like, how students get to participate in research, and maybe even get as specific as to a project you've worked on with students?
Yeah. So obviously a lot of us are attracted to psychology because of what Dr. Flanagan was talking about. Like you're a helper, you're compassionate, and you want to help. But a lot of us are attracted to psychology because we like figuring people out. You know, you like watching a room and kind of analyzing people, and that's the curiosity that drives psychological research. And so when we talk about experiential learning at ACU, we do have a study abroad experience, but one of our main outlets for experiential learning is undergraduate research. In the realm of psychology, especially if you want to go to elite doctoral programs, having research experience on your resume is kind of what really sets you apart. A lot of people who apply for doctoral programs have very high GPAs, so all their numbers look good, but it's that research experience presenting at a psychological conference that really kind of sets you apart from anybody else competing for that doctoral position. And so that's kind of a big focus at ACU, that we focus not so much on graduate or doctoral research, but the undergraduate experience. And so in our classes, we do kind of professional level quality research. And then I say every year we take perhaps about 30 students to either regional or national psychological conferences where they present their research at peer-reviewed psych conferences. And that means their research is competing against the research of actual psychologists who work at different universities. And so when you see that some of our people presenting at these conferences are sophomores, they're often mistaken for doctoral students. It's a testament to the caliber of the kind of student that comes to ACU, but also how quickly we get you into real research, not just taking classes, but doing real research. And Dr. Long mentioned like projects that we do. I try to keep it student driven. My area of expertise is psychology and Christianity, psychology and religion. And some students are interested in that work. You might be as well, and I'd love to talk to you about that. But we get a lot of students that are interested in forensic psychology, and they're interested in the criminal mind. So we have a lot of students that are doing research in kind of forensic psychology. So we do a lot of work in what's called the dark triad. And the dark triad is this constellation of like 3 character traits that when they combine, they create a very dark moral personality, like a criminal mind. And the dark triad involves, the traits are like Machiavellianism, like people who are manipulators, narcissism, and then there's psychopathy, people who lack empathy. And so we have a lot of students that research those traits and correlate them with other things. And so if you're interested in forensic psychology, we do that kind of research here to kind of get that interest going so you can kind of take that on to your graduate level. So I think that's one of the most unique things about ACU is how many of our students are doing like professional level research as soon as their sophomore year.
Yes, Dr. Flanagan, some more.
I just have to add that if the dark triad seems like not up your alley, I do research with emotional support animals. So if that feels a little like that might be nicer for you to pursue, we've done quite a bit of that work recently.
Yeah, I think that's incredibly insightful and helpful to hear and understand. So there's a large number of faculty in this department, as you can imagine. We can only fit 2 of us socially distanced in the studio today. But I can assure you that from the standpoint of understanding human behavior motivations, that there is a faculty member that will resonate with you, and you will relate to their work in research, and they will open that door up for you to walk through and work with them in research, which is a remarkable aspect to the ACU community across our disciplines, across our many areas of study for our students. So a couple questions have come in about studying abroad, which is another way that we take students out of the classroom to learn, to have culturally immersive experiences, to live and learn in another culture is incredibly unique. ACU has 3 sites where we study abroad year-round, Montevideo, Uruguay, Leipzig, Germany, Oxford, England, Oxford, where we most recently just purchased a new to ACU facility, not a new facility as Oxford is rather old, but a wonderful property there that we are renovating with a grand opening expected this fall, where we'll continue to host students. We've been studying abroad to Europe, to Oxford for over 40 years. We're excited to take this to a new level for our students. And the psychology department has long been studying abroad as a department and a program providing students both summer and semester-long opportunities. So Dr. Flanagan, do you mind talking more to these students about what study abroad looks like, especially with the department?
Absolutely. So psychology has psychology in Leipzig, and that is in Germany. And every summer we take a group of students for about 5 weeks, and you get 6 hours, which is 2 classes, in this immersive experience. And the 2 classes that we offer, one of them is social psychology, and so to get to study social psychology in Germany, where psychology really began, is so special. And everything that we do, we're not sitting in a classroom at all. We are walking the streets of Berlin and Wittenberg and Leipzig. We're traveling around the country as much as we can and really experiencing what it feels like to be the other, to be someone different. We don't speak the language, most of us, or not very well. And so to maneuver that and to think about what that feels like while you're studying social psychology is it's an unbelievable experience. I would say magical. The other course that we teach is the psychology of ideology. And so if you think about what it means for an ideology to build up, so ideas that move cultures, and then what is it like to break that down? And so we do that through the lens of the Protestant Reformation and Martin Luther. We do it through the lens of the Cold War, through World War II, and we get to see that ebb and flow of what happens. And so, while we're not really studying history over there, a lot of that history is occurring, and we're learning a lot about it as we discover more about the people who led our world towards evil, like with Hitler, what made people follow him, and then what happened when that fell apart, and the same through Martin Luther. And if you don't know a lot about Martin Luther, he's really the individual that was responsible for translating the Bible into language that could be accessible to the common people. And so to get to do that and to walk those streets and to think about those things together with a small group, we usually have 12 or 15, and my family has been able to do this several times, and it's just a remarkable experience to stand in those places and to study psychology alongside of people who become some of your best friends. So most of the people I've traveled with, are still students that I keep up with today, and some of those trips were 9-10 years ago.
Yeah, that's excellent. Dr. Beck, I think you've got something great to share too.
Yeah, like Dr. Flanagan mentioned, one of the things we study over there is the Holocaust, and so when you're studying social psychology, which is a lot of group behavior and group dynamics, prejudice and discrimination, obedience to authority, that there is nothing more profound than one of the places we go to Buchenwald concentration camp, one of the death camps. And so to take a group of students and actually have class on the grounds where some of the darkest atrocities in human history has taken place, where evil was at its worst, and to ask the question, how did this happen? And then try to answer that from a Christian perspective, but also from a psychological perspective. How did this happen? There is no more profound classroom than you will have than to sit on the grounds of Buchenwald with your psychology professors and ask those questions. It is indescribable, and it's life-changing for me, our faculty, and for a lot of students. And it's not just as we see the world struggle today. We still see social conflict today going on right now. Those questions are still really relevant. And so we want you here at ACU because we want you to have those experiences so you can take the skills as people of faith and as psychologists to go out there and let's not let these things happen ever again. Let's go out there and be agents of healing. That's the big passion about why we want you here, is to combine that we need to make this world a better place. What can we learn? What are the tools we can learn here at ACU, filtered through Scripture, filtered through our Christian commitments, so that the world can be made right? And so I just wanted to mention that particular experience in our study abroad.
No, that is beyond the truth here at ACU, especially across our disciplines, as being a Christ-centered university. The duality that we carry with our students in academic excellence and spiritual formation, and really wrestling with these hard conversations, but that lead to deep change. And lead to creating students that go out and change the world. Some of you are asking questions about high school and preparing to come to college even, and taking AP classes. We love AP classes. I will tell you that students that take AP classes actually do a little bit better than students that just took dual credit classes. So AP, definitely am a fan from an enrollment perspective of the challenge and rigor of AP coursework. Dual credit is great as well when that fits your schedule, but absolutely, taking AP psychology, taking that intro to psych class is a great way right now while you're in high school to kind of get your feet wet and step into understanding at the entry level of psychology. Also, you can take that obviously here at ACU. It's a well sought after class for sure. But that is one way to prepare. Also want you students to be aware that your application, I know some of you right now are just graduating from high school, and we celebrate that with you virtually and preparing to be here in the fall, and we can't wait to have you. Some of you are rising seniors in high school, and you are thinking about where you're going to apply to school. So July 1st, as you are entering your senior year right now this summer, July 1st, the application is going to open up, and that's when you can apply to ACU. This year, we will be test optional for students knowing that you've not had access to taking the test. You can complete your application, send us your high school transcript, complete that application telling us more about you. We're looking for students that fit who we are as a university, that want to be a part of a faith community, of a Christian university, and an academically rigorous community as well. You can apply test optional and be considered for scholarships, but if you want to be considered for our most prestigious scholarships or the Honors College, you will need to provide a test score at some point. We know that might be delayed, and that's okay. You can go ahead and apply, and we can get that test score later in the fall. But want you to be aware of that pathway. I think, Dr. Beck, you might have some thoughts on how students can be preparing for being a psychology major, or thoughts on those AP classes as well.
Yeah, and I want to also kick it back to Dr. Flanagan to talk about the accelerated program. So my advice would be you can take as many AP psychology classes as you want, because all that will do is you'll just check off those requirements and just move you quicker towards your upper division classes. So that's a really simple thing. And if you have any questions about that, you can feel free to email me directly, and I could advise you on that. So I want you to feel confident to go out and take an introduction to psychology class, or even a developmental psychology class, and that would work out fine. And the reason why that works out fine is because we have this accelerated program that a lot of you are interested in being mental health professionals, and so you're going to need some graduate school. And so we have a program that we've built that Dr. Flanagan will review here in a second about how you can start taking graduate classes as an undergraduate student. So if you bring in a lot of AP credit, that just makes it quicker for you to kind of get to that end goal of the credential you need to begin being a psychologist, or even go on to doctoral programs. So I'll let Dr. Flanagan talk about that program.
Thank you. We're so excited to have the accelerated program. And what that allows you to do is, while you're still an undergraduate, you can take up to 24 graduate hours. So that LPC, that counseling track I was talking about a minute ago, that's a 60-hour program. You knock off almost half of that while you're still an undergrad. And those classes count both towards your psychology degree and towards your graduate degree. And so it's a very, it is accelerated, but it's cost efficient, it saves you some time, and also, like Dr. Beck mentioned, you might even be bringing in some hours. And so we've had students that come in with, anywhere from 12 to 24 to even more hours. And what that does is that pushes that decision forward a little bit for you. And I can say, after about 4 years of having our accelerated program, that our students that come in, even the ones that come in with that dual credit or those hours as they come in, we feel like our program prepares them for that graduate track. We feel like we were curious about it. Are our students going to be developmentally ready to go on and begin counseling? And the answer is yes. Like, when you come to our program, by the time you get to those graduate classes, so far, I mean, I would say we've got about 100% success with the people that have gone through it. They are some of our best performing graduate students, the ones that come out of our own program. And so it is really exciting, I think, to see that you can do that. And it's also extremely flexible. And so sometimes we have people that are able to do all 24. They basically knock off their last year. And so their senior year, they're still an undergrad, but they are taking 12 hours, which is a full load of graduate classes in the fall and a full load in the spring. And that means they start practicum even before they graduate with their bachelor's. And it's really exciting because the students who choose to do that are ready. We have some other students who are like, well, I just want to get my feet wet. And so they might take a group psychotherapy class, or they might take an advanced abnormal psychology class. And maybe they go in with only 6 or 9 hours of graduate school. And that's really my job, to help you make those decisions, to advise you carefully, to make sure that you're prepared to make that shift towards professionalism as you start your graduate classes. We have some people who they really want to live out their senior year and just be a president of their club, or just be very, very involved in classes. And maybe they don't want to do the full 12 and 12 hours their senior year. And we've got a January short course and some summer classes that help them move those graduate hours along while not overwhelming them in their senior year as well. So it's just a terrific program, and I'm delighted to be able to offer that to you.
No, that's really helpful. A couple other questions have come in for you, Dr. Flanagan, about school psychology, about
Yes.
what does it mean to become a school psychologist? Is that master's level? Do we offer doctoral level work there? So do you mind elaborating on that just a little bit more?
I was feeling like I was getting long-winded, so I'm glad that you that you asked that. That was a great question. Our school psychology program it's actually called a specialist degree. It's a specialist in school psychology, and so you get an SSP. And I would describe that as kind of between a master's and a doctorate. It is a 3-year program. It's still just 60 hours, but you do your first 2 years of coursework and practicum in a residential setting in Abilene. You're working in the schools, and then that 3rd year, you take your last 6 hours and you're actually out there in a paid internship. And so it's pretty awesome. We have a 100% success rate in placing our SSP students into internships. And that's some serious bragging rights, because that's an important step. You have to get that internship that 3rd year. And then many of our students go on to do that 3rd year in their, say if they're from Colorado, they want to go back to Colorado and do that. It's very versatile in that we can help students get placed really wherever they want. And so we've had people placed in many different states, in Abilene, in Dallas, in Lubbock. So lots of Texas sites that know and love ACU students who want more of our students coming. And then also what often happens, because that degree is one that the job prospects are excellent. So you're going to get a job just the year that you get out. And so many of the sites where people go on to get that internship go ahead and hire them as school psychologists. So I mentioned before, we're NASP accredited. That's the National Association of School Psychology, and that's an important thing that you would want in a school psychology program.
We are very proud of the offerings we have at the graduate level. We do not currently offer a doctorate level degree in psychology right now. I know a couple of you have asked that question, so want to clarify that, but we do have some incredible graduate opportunities for our students, and clearly incredible faculty teaching. This last kind of question for you, Dr. Beck, and we'll start to wrap it up, but around several students have asked about, what about a minor? What about getting a minor in that area in the area of psychology? What does that look like? And then finally, just if you could speak to Dr. Beck about what it means to be a Christian psychology program, how that translates for you as you lead this department. Thank you.
Yeah, I think if you're going to get a minor in psychology, you're going to do that because you probably feel like you're going to use those psychological skills and that training to supplement what you're already doing. So I know a lot of law school-bound students will minor in psychology because they think that those psychological skills are going to be real important. A lot of our pre-med students add psychology because obviously you're going to deal with a lot of mental illness, a lot of grief, a lot of psychology in that area. And so usually you're going to be adding psychology as a major to supplement whatever your ultimate career path is. And sometimes people major in psychology because they're going to need it, because we all have mental health journeys, our families have mental health journeys. You want to be a better parent, you want to be present in your churches and your communities as an agent of healing, and so you want psychology to be a part of that skill set that you give to the world. And as far as just Christianity and psychology, that's like a huge passion of mine as a researcher and a writer, but all of our faculty in our university. And what I love about psychology is because it has a profession of healing associated with it, just matches really well with the mission of ACU. But I also know in a lot of different churches or contexts, people have questions about psychology. Is it too humanistic? How does it treat faith? And so that's why if you have those concerns, coming to a place like ACU is where you need to be, because the Christian perspective will always be present in the classroom. And we're not going to tell you as college professors what to think, how exactly to integrate your faith with psychology. What we're going to do is going to put assignments and experiences and discussions out in front of you so you can take your faith and your understanding of Scripture and connect it with psychology. And to be honest, there are places where there's friction, where there's going to be some work, maybe some tension, but there's also places where you're going to find a great deal of harmony and synthesis between those two. And that's just an exciting adventure in every semester, in every class, to see how our faith intersects with our passion for healing the world.
Thank you, Dr. Beck, and thank you, Dr. Flanagan, for being with us today. Students, we want to extend you an invitation to visit us on campus. I know that Dr. Beck is eager to meet you in person here in Abilene. Virtually was the best we could do right now, and we're grateful that you joined us today. But please do visit campus. We look forward to hosting students on campus soon, and we hope that your questions were answered. We will continue to follow up. I know in the chat bar there were lots of conversations happening that were great. We're so thankful for your time with us today, and we hope you have a great week.